It's still fall, but parts of the Northland have already picked up more than a foot of snow, and many of us have dropped below zero for overnight lows.
We sure have. Now, that allowed some local ski resorts to open early this season. And this morning, the Fox 21 weather team is taking a look ahead to the upcoming snow season for our winter weather outlook. Check it out.
While we're still about a month away from the official start of winter, snow arrives earlier in the Northland and sticks around beyond March.
And we've already seen big snow events this season, with a winter storm warning in effect in the snow belt, laying down over 14 inches of snowfall within 24 hours into Ironwood, Michigan. And the pile, will it keep growing?
In a typical snow season that runs from July 1st through June 30th, Duluth averages about 86 inches of snow, and with less of a lake influence, International Falls picks up about 71 inches. When cold winds blow across an unfrozen Lake Superior, lake effect snows can really pile up across western Upper Michigan and along the South Shore. In Hurley, Wisconsin, an average of over 170 inches of snow accumulates, which is almost twice the amount Duluth gets. In Duluth, last winter lasted more than 7 months from the first measurable snow on October 10th to the last one on May 19th. Snow slowly added up until just after Christmas, when more than a foot of snow fell on December 27th. After about 10 inches of snow for the entire month of January, we were blanketed with more than 3 feet of snow in February. That 36.4 inches of snow in February 2019 made it the snowiest on record. We had measurable snow for 17 days in February. The heaviest, more than 10 inches, fell on February 6 and 7. While a little more than 6 inches of snow fell in March and again in April, winter wasn't done with us yet. Just as the flowers were starting to pop up and visions of spring made Northlanders happier, more than a foot of snow accumulated in May. Officially, 13.3 inches of snow made it the snowiest May on record in Duluth. When the last snow of the winter was measured, we ended up with almost 107 inches of snow in Duluth, yet that didn't even make it one of the 10 snowiest winters on record. The winter of 2018 and 2019 ended up as the 15th snowiest. Now it's time to prepare for another winter. This year, along with winter storm warnings and blizzard warnings, the National Weather Service will introduce a snow squall warnings on rare occasions.
For when we have really dangerous road conditions that are about to occur, either very low visibility for a short amount of time, or road temperatures that are quickly diminishing that can cause roads to be very icy very fast.
The snow squall warning will only be issued for a 30 to 60-minute period. A meteorologist's main objective, whether it's on television or at the National Weather Service, is to provide timely and accurate forecasts to save lives and property. But that's becoming more difficult with social media. More and more, especially in the winter, we see outrageous snowfall forecast maps being shared more than a week out, much to the dismay of a responsible and credible meteorologist.
If it's a forecast page called Joe's forecast page, it's probably not a reliable meteorologist.
Joe Moore, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service office in Duluth, says that while there are many apps and web pages to find weather information, when winter storms threaten, local television meteorologists and the forecasters at his office should be your first source for information.
We're looking at what the temperatures are actually like down by the lake. We're looking at what they're like on the hill, how the conditions are going to change, and we're going to be able to produce that best forecast that's going to be the most reliable.
Now that we've taken a look at some of the changes and challenges of forecasting in the Northland, we need to look at the bigger picture.
We sure do. And with climate change making headlines, will potential warming in the Northland affect our winter? Reality is, as the West burns, the South swelters, and the East floods, some Americans are even starting to reconsider where they choose to live. Just last week, Venice saw their worst tides in 50 years, and their mayor is blaming climate change. From Venice to various parts of the Northland, lake levels are at record highs, and flooding has become a major concern through the region. However, this past April, Duluth was named a climate refuge city.
Isn't that so interesting? Well, he said we were. Yeah.
No, so this climatologist from Harvard
has done research that suggests that as people are moving out of cities that are too hot or at risk of fire or climate impact, that they will be seeking places to move to, and Duluth is on that list.
Research suggests nowhere in the world is immune from climate change, including Duluth. But we can sure sit back and say, we've got it pretty good.
We're also a city that wants to make sure that our growth and change is smart and inclusive and, building on the strengths we already have.
The Great Lakes area will be one of the few places in America where the effects of climate change may be more easily managed, according to climate projections. So does that affect our winter outlook this year?
The trends on snowfall with climate change in Minnesota, I think, are still unclear. What is clear is that winter is the fastest warming season in Minnesota. We've warmed about 5 degrees since 1970 on average.
Fluctuating temperatures year to year, it's still plenty cold enough to snow in the Northland. And some of the heaviest snowstorms pile up in prime temperatures of 28 to 32 degrees.
So the jury's still out. Minnesota is getting wetter, and since it is, it's still cold enough to snow in winter. We've seen some pretty prolific snow years in the last few years.
With slightly warmer than average temperatures and heavy wetter snow possible.
Every year is going to be a little different, but a good old-fashioned, really cold Minnesota winter maybe only happens once every 3 or 4 years now.
An Arctic cold front has much of the United States locked in its grasp. Minnesota had the lowest temperature.
And we see a greater preponderance of milder winters.
Local climate talks have been taking place this year around the Northland, and the attention always snowballs into winter.
I think the biggest trend that we've observed recently has been an increase in winter temperatures, especially the low temperatures on the coldest days of the year. And the result has been, even though we can still usually depend on winter, it can be a little more variable, and sometimes the middle of winter isn't what you expect it to be. So we get sort of a weakening of winter.
Barely noticeable warming overnight lows does affect us here. The weakening of winter has indeed been felt in Hayward when the American Birkebeiner was canceled in 2017. After over a week of unseasonable temperatures, breaking records, and 1.5 inches of rain, it has caused this Birkie Trail right here to have an inch-thick sheet of ice, making it unsafe for the skiers.
Once we were not able to have a safe course, that made the decision easy, and as hard as it was, we had to say no Birkie 2017.
Even the snow belt has noticed a difference too.
The winters aren't as bad as I remember when I was a kid. I mean, we used to get 300 inches of snow a year. It's gone down a lot.
With changes year to year, we dive into all the aspects to give you an accurate forecast.
Well, first, we have to look at the major players. Is it an El Nino or a La Nina year? You've heard of those before. Well, you can forget about them both because we're actually in an ENSO neutral phase, which means the trade winds are at their normal speed, keeping the warmer than average sea surface temperatures off to the Pacific West. So now we have to look at the Arctic oscillation to steer our winter weather here in the Northland. Now there are different phases. A meridional flow kind of dips down further, brings us some cold snaps. And there's another flow that's called zonal flow, kind of keeps it more in a straight line, giving us more snowier weather events. Now these phases change every few weeks, and currently right now we are in the negative phase, which would bring us the colder temperatures, which we've already experienced so far this season. Now in the next 2 weeks, we're looking at that to change to a positive phase, which would give us more snowfall in the forecast. For this year, the winter temperature outlook has a majority of the nation warmer and wetter than average. Of course, here for us, with ENSO being neutral, we have to look at that Arctic oscillation.
So now it's time for our forecast for the 2019-2020 winter weather season.
In Duluth, we will be average to slightly above average temperatures.
But don't be fooled, we will still get our Arctic cold snaps.
And we can expect to see above average snowfall with approximately 5 to 6 major storms hitting the Northland.
In northern Minnesota and inland areas of Wisconsin, around 70 to 80 inches is likely.
While in Duluth and up the North Shore, 90 to 100 inches is expected.
And on the South Shore and the Snowbelt area, between 180 and 190 inches is expected.
And after all, this is the Northland, and we're the hardiest and most prepared, so enjoy this winter season to its fullest.
We hope you've enjoyed our winter weather outlook. Be safe. I'm meteorologist Anthony Peoples.
And I'm meteorologist Brittney Merlot with photojournalist Reese Lindquist, Fox 21 Local News.
I learned so much.
Did you?
Yes, I really did.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, from our past to our future, and just what we have to look forward to this winter.
It really is interesting. There's people who still aren't on board with the whole climate change thing. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see what's really happening.
Absolutely.
out in
It's
the
hard
world.
to see here. It's really hard to see because we're just barely affected by it. But, you know, when you
Exactly.
study it every single day, you notice those changes very, very bright and clear.
And we could be a refuge one day for
Yeah.
folks looking to.
They're already looking at us.
Yeah.
Hey.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Lots of snow this winter, huh?
Exactly. Appreciate where you live, everybody. That's for
Exactly.
sure. Enjoy the snowfall this year. We're definitely going to get enough of it. And we're also going to get those cold snaps for all you ice fishermen out there, too. So here we
Brittney,
go.
thank you.
You're welcome.